To lock in your favorite WagerTalk expert through the end of the calendar year, it would cost you close to $2,000, but you can get all sports for all of 2021 from the handicapper of your choice for only $9.99. This comes out to under $4 per day and includes any rare 5% best bets released over this time.
Welcome in, guys. Welcome back to Puck Time, and happy Friday to you guys, all of you guys out there. We'll try and find some winners for you on the ice in the NHL. We're talking Flyers, Rangers, Sabres, Bruins, Preds and the Hawks, Wild, Kings, and the Habs and the Flames going head-to-head here. And, you know, Flames, if they don't win these next games, they're out of the playoffs. So that should be a pretty good series. Next couple of games coming up here. We have a special guest joining us here today. He's only been on the show once so far this season, and Carm, I'll let you bring him in.
How's it going, boys? To everyone in the chat, thanks for dropping in on Friday. A big slate of games this weekend, and a lot of big ones. So we're really looking forward to it. 1-1 NHL for me last night, but started the day with, if any of you guys follow along, I usually don't talk about the 5% ones, but anyways, a 5% winner in soccer with Napoli plus 107. Crazy sequence at the beginning. I literally was preparing a tweet 5 minutes into the game to apologize to everyone on a losing play because it looked like they were about to be assessed a penalty against them and a red card. Instead, they went to VAR and gave us a penalty the other way. So great start to the day. With us, he's been here once before. He's one of my co-hosts on Stoppage Time. A great friend, very knowledgeable guy. Really uses the analytics the right way in NHL, and he's having a very good season. Let's bring him in. We call him the Irishman.
What's happening, fellas? Back by popular demand. I'd like to think probably some tumbleweed going past right now, but yeah, great to be back on the show. And you know, as we were said, like the last time we were on this show, 34-17 run now on all top-rated NHL sides. So things still going pretty hot right now in NHL, and looking forward to breaking down some games.
Well, it sounds like we're all rolling pretty hot, guys. I'm number one at WagerTalk last 7 days, number one baseball last 7 days, and I have a 5% play up today, and I have a coupon code I'll give you guys just a little bit later on in this show. But before we do that, let's get into these games, and let's start things off with the Montreal Canadiens and the Calgary Flames. Flames short favorites here, minus 115, Habs minus 105. I'll go to you, Carmen. I want to ask you, because I know you've been betting these unders with situations like this in particular, but with the Habs in general, we've all been cashing tickets. But I'm curious if there's anything that you see, you know, because they're playing 3 straight games. Is there any type of strategy you're looking for as far as money lines or totals based on either the opening game of the series or from what you see from this first game that might change your mind and to make a play for the second or third game?
I'm going to get to that one quick sec. Andrew, I have to give you kudos because you are on a tremendous run, and you very rarely talk about it. You'll post stuff on Twitter, but you're on a great run, and people need to know it and need to start picking up these packages that you have, whether it's the 3-day, 7-day, or that $9.99 package. Kudos to you, man. My co-host on the show, you're doing a fantastic job. You put a lot of hard work into everything you do. So I want to say that before we get into this game. Now that I propped you up, I'm not going to make fun of your Canadiens on this one. But listen, this is it for Calgary. They play Montreal 3 times over the next 4 days, and the only way Calgary is going to get a glimpse at the playoffs or even get close to the Canadiens for that 4th spot is they have to sweep all 3 games and do it in regulation time. They can't even allow any of these games to get into overtime where the Canadiens will pick up at least a point. They put themselves in this own spot by losing that game to Ottawa, but they put themselves in this spot going way back in playing so many duds. They'll play a great game and then play a dud. As far as looking at this total, you look at this. Okay, the Flames are 4-2 against the Habs this year. The under is 5-0-1. And in all honesty, how can you find goals in this game? They could score goals tonight. We could see penalties that lead to power plays that lead to goals, but there is no way you can give me any type of analytical number that I've looked at that tells me that this game is going to have a ton of goals in it. This is a game where the Flames know they need to squash the Canadiens. And by squashing them, they need to keep this a low-scoring game and try and do what they did in previous games. Win those. The last time Montreal was in Calgary, it was a 3-1 and 2-1 game on back-to-back nights where they beat them. They need a similar type of setup here. If the Flames lose this one, then I think they're pretty much done. If they're not done already, and I'll likely come back with the Canadiens in the second or third games. But for me here, I'm just leaning straight under.
Under for Carmine. I can't argue that whatsoever. Based on what we've seen from both these teams against each other and in general. And Carmine, I appreciate the kind words. I'm looking forward to hopefully keeping this streak alive and keeping things going. Kevin, I'll go to you. It's an 8.5% chance right now for the Flames to make the playoffs. And obviously, like Carm said, the indicators right now are they have to have 3 wins in a row against the Montreal Canadiens in order for them to be successful. What do you think here in this matchup? Does anything play a factor to you? The fact that this team is a little more motivated, maybe there's a little bit more on the line for the Flames?
Possibly, Andrew, but honestly, I think this line is priced just right. I can't split them on the side here, but like Carmine said, I do lean under here. This is something I actually, not to give a wee plug, but talk about in my book. Out of all the methods people use to handicap games, power rankings, statistics, situational angles, whatever, trends are probably the weakest. As let's face it, every game is effectively its own event, but it's just hard to look past the amount of trends pointing to the under in this one. 22-8 to the under when the Canadiens face a team with a losing record, 38-17 to the under when playing off exactly 1 day rest, 15-5 to the under in the last combined head-to-head. So, when you're talking trends well into the double digits and not the usual 4-1, 5-1 and so on trotted out by the media, then it's probably worth paying attention. Saying all that, not sure I can get behind under with Markstrom and nets here, so lean to the under, but won't make my card.
Well, speaking of trends, Kevin, I haven't been able to bother you with this trend because I've bothered everybody else, it seems like, with this trend. Third game of a road trip for any team. This is the Montreal Canadiens tonight. We have 2 more teams that are in this same category for tonight. Since March 6th, teams on a third game of their road trip, we have seen 32 unders and 16 overs. Under has dominated on that third game of the road trip, Kev. And then after that, 4th game, 5th game of the road trip, it's turned into overs immediately. So something about that third game where teams are just buckling down and playing good defense. I can't really explain why to you, but like you said, everything is a new event, but sometimes you can't really ignore it. I mean, 32 unders and 16 overs, it's a pretty dominant number there. So I'm staying away from the side in this game and looking towards the total. And based off what I see out of the teams tonight, I'll make a side prediction and more of a have an opinion on the side in the following game after that one, guys. We'll move on to our next game here, the Preds and the Hawks. And these teams, well, Carm, they continue to go over the total. Last time they played, my best bet on the show was the over between these two teams. I'm going to ask you this. People are saying that we always talk about totals, and I feel like I'm doing that right now so far on this show. But do you see this going under? I mean, can you see this quote-for-quote trend between these two teams going the other way? Because it seems like when these two teams clash, the pace through 60 minutes is good enough to get over 5.5.
Yeah, first thing, when Kev comes back on after, I need to hear him say me book again because I love that. But he did write a book on capping. Andrew, as far as this game, I'm not even looking at the total. I'll be honest with you, I'm not looking at the total. I'm looking at the Preds here. When we do our homework on these games and we're trying to find games that we're going to obviously offer to our clients, a lot of it is analytical numbers, a lot of it is advanced looking at the games, but we're also looking at the games themselves and how the games were played. This game to me, I'll be honest with you, this game to me has the exact same feel as game 2 of the Edmonton-Montreal game. It seemed like the whole world was on Edmonton in game 2 against Montreal the other night. I took Montreal. Why? I watched the game. Montreal outplayed Edmonton for 50 minutes. And then for the last 10 minutes of the game, they fell apart. This is the same scenario here. I'll be honest with you. The Hawks used a 3-minute span to score 3 goals to get back into this game, send it to overtime, and beat the Preds. They were dead they were dead the whole game. till that 3 or 4 minute span that got them back into the game. The Preds were the better team in that game, but still lost a high-scoring game. That's not the way the Preds play. So, yeah, you could look at it and maybe correlate it to if the Preds play that defensive game that has gotten them into this playoff race and gotten to where they are right now, they're going to win this game in low-scoring fashion. For me, the price is right here on the Preds. You've got to come back with the Preds here in this game.
Great stuff there, Carmen. I'm with you on that theory. I mean, you have to watch the game sometimes. Sometimes the score lines and all the stats are going to hide what really happened. And using that Montreal versus Edmonton game is a really good example, because that Montreal played a great hockey game for about 52 minutes. And then for that other 8 minutes, they collapsed. Absolutely. If you weren't watching that game, you look at that score sheet and you think, all right, this team got dominated. You know, if you didn't watch that game at all, you would think they completely got ripped apart. But in the essence of it, though, the other end of it is that there's kind of some confidence now for the Blackhawks. I mean, you have to be feeling good about yourself after creating that comeback. That's why, for me, Kev, I can't stay away from the total here. I have to go over again. I just feel like there's too much scoring power. The Preds are going to be upset based on what happened near the end of the game. And I think the Blackhawks are going to feel good about themselves with that comeback they had.
Yeah, I don't really have a strong opinion on the total, but I was looking at the potential value on the Blackhawks, you know, at the plus money price. Chicago ranking 6th in the league on expected goals this season. That's a long way from Nashville's 29th rank. You know, and in terms of axe differential, which we touched on in the previous show that I was on, you know, Chicago, the 3rd unluckiest team in the league in chances created. Nashville, meanwhile, 3rd luckiest. So there is plenty of discrepancy there moving forward. And getting Chicago to turn that around here, coming off a win at plus money, does look like decent value. The one thing giving me some pause here is Saros expected nets tonight for the Predators. He has been, you know, pretty phenomenal all season for Nashville. 13.95 GSA average, 18 quality starts, 0.925 save percentage as well. So he really has been one of the standout keepers of the year so far. So, yeah, lean to Chicago based off team metrics here and the fact that they're plus money as well, which, you know, I'm always on top of. But, you know, with Saros and that, so I'm just going to stay away from this one. But, yeah, lean to Chicago.
I'm going to start with you in our next game here, Kevin, in this one. And this is a game that I don't know if it got Carmine mad, but it got me a little mad. It's a back-to-back, Rangers and Flyers. Carmine are talking on the phone yesterday. We got a little we're texting as well, and we're talking about, you know, which team should we avoid? Which favorite should we avoid? And I didn't listen to Carm. I'm not sure if he listened to himself. We'll find out. But this Rangers team let me down. And that's the thing about this Flyers team. They're so up and down. We saw the price go a little bit down, actually, minus 170 to minus 160 for the Rangers. But I look at this game. We've got Georgiev, and we have either Leon or Lyon. Alex, I think it's Alex Lyon. That's the pronunciation for the Philadelphia Flyers. 2 goaltenders with very poor numbers, very poor stats. And I'm looking towards backing this Rangers team in regulation. I feel like they will bounce back. I feel like they just have more depth of scoring, and they can protect their own end. And if you give them even the slightest of a goaltending edge, I feel like they'll right their wrongs. And the thing with Philadelphia is we haven't really seen them put forward a couple good games in a row. It's always been like a solar eclipse. They have one great game. The next day, you don't know which team they are again. But with the Rangers, I feel like down the stretch, they'll play consistent hockey, bounce back here, and I'll grab them in regulation. Slight lean to the over, though, based off these goaltender stats on the back-to-back.
Yeah, initially it's hard, as you said, not to expect a bounce back from the Rangers here tonight. Alex Leon, as you said, starts and goals for Philly. Still a relative, you know, enigma stats-wise at this level, getting just 1 start all year against the Capitals. As you said, wasn't particularly impressive in that game either. Gave up 6 goals, I believe, 4.40 GA average as well. And, you know, with Philly having one of the worst defenses in the league this season, ranking 2nd worst on goals allowed per game, 3.48. As you said, it's hard not to look past the Rangers bounce back win here. But the one elephant in the room here is Philadelphia's underlying metrics, you know, because obviously that's my bread and butter. And we talked about this again, as I said, the last time we were on the show, expected differential ratio, basically ranking teams on luck based on chances created, given up. And Philly, Like, their numbers are just ridiculous. They are by far, like, it's not even remotely close, the unluckiest team in the league this season. So that, of course, has to regress at some point. Philly are a top 3 team in the season expected goals against, and perhaps it already has, with last night's win against the Rangers. But this is definitely a very interesting kind of watch and brief for me, because once this Philly team does, you said it, that they're finding it difficult to put, good games back to back. But, once they do, and once they manage to put a couple of wins together, this is a team I'll definitely be looking to back more often than not to close out the season, because, they've been so poor, and that once that regresses, this could be definitely a back-on team.
Well, just a question back to you, Kevin. I've been betting a lot more team totals lately, especially down the stretch towards the playoff push here. And the reason for that is just looking to avoid any of these upsets and just betting on some of these teams that get scored on. You look like last night with the Pittsburgh and Devils game, New Jersey. I mean, why not just take that team completely out of the picture, turn that minus 280 or whatever that extreme price is into a team total? And like you mentioned, Leon's numbers have not been good. Are you intrigued at all by a team total play for the Rangers? That way you're taking this Flyers team completely out of the picture?
Yeah, the only pause that I would have is there just hasn't been enough data on him. He might have just simply, for me anyway, because I rely so much on that he simply, I want to see at least double-digit starts, before I start getting involved. That this is a poor keeper that I can kind of fade. I'm with him pretty much. Look, he's only had 2 games, I believe, one start, and so I would just hang back in terms of that, because he is, I suppose, he's definitely capable of putting on a good display tonight.
Carm, where are you going here, side or total?
First of all, I'm not sure who you had the conversation with last night about staying off the Rangers, because it wasn't me. I took the Rangers. It was my only loss on the day yesterday, as far as with clients and stuff. But I'm coming back with the Rangers here. Listen, as far as the pronunciation of his name, if we were in France and we're talking soccer, it's Lyon. But we are in, he is in America, so it's Lion here. I just can't take this Flyers team. If it wasn't for, if you watch that game, while the game was tied at the time, the Rangers were all playing the Flyers yesterday. You'd have to really convince me that I'm wrong in that statement. It wasn't until a double minor for high sticking against the Rangers gave the Flyers that power play that they scored the go-ahead goal. And when you score them late in the third period, you get those goals at the 12 or 13-minute mark. It's very tough for a team to then get that momentum back, tie the game up, try to get it into overtime. So I'm coming back in a quick revenge spot with the Rangers here. The Flyers just are a team that they're an enigma. Look at their last 10 games that they've won, and they followed it up with a loss in 9 of 10 games. They're just not a team that are stringing wins together. How do you take a team? It's tough to say they're due to win 2 in a row. They're due to win 3 in a row. That due factor will send you to the bank looking for a loan. It's the way it is. Give me the Rangers tonight here at like 150, I think the line is right now. I'll take the Rangers.
Yeah, the due factor is never a good thing. We've mentioned that on the show quite a bit. And consistency is something we look for. They scored a couple goals and they looked like a pretty good team, but can they do it again? I'm not quite sure they can here. The term rapid revenge, like Carm said, certainly applies here, playing the next game the next day. So I believe the Rangers will bounce back. I'm in the same boat as Mr. Bianco. Let's try and look at our dumper chase segment here, guys. We'll dive into it, see if you guys want to bet on and back this favorite or dump it and potentially look towards the dog, the Wild, minus 165, the Kings plus 140. And I don't want to pat myself on the back here, Carm, but I'm going to. I said that there's some teams that are not going to just mail it in. They're going to keep it going no matter what their playoff position, no matter what their spot is. And the Wild, let's face it, their spot is pretty much solidified, but they have just kept on going, man. They have, turned it on every single game, found a way to score. I'm actually looking towards the over in this game, but in this game in particular, I'm backing the Wild in regulation. The speed that they have right now, it's showing me that they're not slowing down, man. Like, they're towards the playoff push. They're feeling good. They have several lines playing really well. Kevin Fiala is looking outstanding. Kaprizov is looking like a 5, 6, 7 year NHL player playing in his first NHL season. If they can get some goaltending tonight, I believe Cam Talbot is in between the pipes. You can correct me if I'm wrong there. Versus Peterson, I believe that matchup. As long as Cam Talbot plays his best, I believe I'm going with the Wild here in regulation. If I can confirm the goaltenders there, the Wild, their speed is too much. The Kings will hang around, and then it'll just go completely crazy. And I think that we've heard it from Brian Leonard. He said, "God, teams like the Kings, these underdogs, if you're looking to bet the dog, bet them in the first period, either plus a half or on the money line, because what's happening is they're competing, and the second that favorite starts to go up by 1 goal or 2 goals, it seems like the dog is just calling it a game, just burying it, calling it a game. So if I'm looking to bet a dog these days, guys, I'm betting that first period. Is there a spot you like here, Carm?
Yeah, you know what? I just have to agree with you on the total here. You look at the standings here, and Minnesota's competing every single game. Whether they toss in some losses along the way, they're competing every game. They're trying to score goals. They've got a really good team there. Unfortunately, they're stuck in a division with Vegas and Colorado, but we'll see what comes come playoff time with this. But you look at what's left in this division, and it's unbelievable that the LA Kings, this late in the season, as bad as they are playing, still have a chance to make the playoffs. And that's it's because you have Arizona Coyotes, you have the St. Louis Blues, and you have the San Jose Sharks, that these teams are just crawling to the line. It's unbelievable. They're 5 points back with 4 games in hand on Arizona and a game in hand on St. Louis for that final playoff spot. Do I think that motivates them for tonight? No, I don't. They're just going to come out and play. The Wild have beaten them 5 of 7 games this year. 4 of those 7 games have gone over the total. And then you look at the Kings, 6 of their last 7 games have gone over the total. And this is a team that earlier in the season looked like it was a dead under team. I think if you're going to take anything, the price is probably too high on the Wild right now on the road. I'd lean to the over here. And if you want to lay 160, 170, by all means, go ahead and take the Wild as a side. But I'd rather take the total here.
Slightly in towards the favorite from Carm, but looking towards the over in this one. And Kev, I know you've had an outstanding NBA season. Unbelievable. Congratulations to you. Hats off. And I bring that up because I use the word pace quite a bit in hockey, but it's often used in basketball handicapping. The pace of a team, the pace of play, if you're looking towards an over. And I think that what's funny is that the LA Kings, they play at a pace they probably shouldn't, because they play at a pace that would dictate they have some type of talent, but they don't have that talent. Teams like Minnesota can play at a crazy pace because they have countless goal scorers. So I feel like the LA Kings, they get into these goal for goal games they probably shouldn't be getting in. If you catch my drift here, I just feel like they should be more of an under team and play more defensive. They just don't do it. I'm looking towards the over, just like Carm.
Yeah, I'm starting to think you guys brought me on here just for disagreement purposes, because I do like the under here. This will actually be my best bet. Both, as you said, the 2 goalkeepers expected to start tonight, Talbot, Peterson. I've been really impressed with them all season. Both of these guys have been absolutely lights out all year. Both ranked top 10 in the league on GSA average. Both are top 20 in save percentage, top 25 in quality starts, and so on. So I think the under 5.5 looks decent value here. The Kings are giving up the fewest converted high danger scoring chances from inside the slot area all season. While the Wild have the league's 7th best expected goals against average also. So to me, stats wise, everything points to the under here. And, that's the way I'm looking at this one.
I can guarantee you nobody went and checked what your plays were going to be and said, let's go the other way. That's for sure, especially with how hot you've been running, Kev. Congratulations, both NHL, NBA, soccer, or football, I guess, as they would say, where you're coming from. But congratulations, man. Our next game here is our barn burner segment, our total segment. Total sits at 5.5. I'm going to start with you in this one, Kevin. I look at it and I think to myself, if I'm betting a total over in this game, it's strictly going to be a team total from the Bruins because the Sabres aren't scoring. But that same theory I described earlier in this show, the third game of a road trip, applies to this game. The problem is they've been playing the same team, right? So it might be a little bit of a different story. But again, that's 32 unders, 16 overs when a team is on the third game of the road trip last several weeks. And I think that it just goes to show that at that certain point, they're done with raising the score level and running the score up. They want to get in there and play a good game, get 1 or 2 goals, and protect that lead. Whereas yesterday's game, the Bruins, they had some fun, man. They kept on going all game long. They were trying to score. They outclassed them in the face-off percentage. They outclassed them in shots, expected goals, every advanced category. The Bruins led. The only worry for me backing it over in this game would be the Bruins. I'm not worried about the Sabres, but my bet here is the under 5.5, Kevin.
Andrew, you're probably going to be reaching for the straitjacket right now because I'm going to take a piece of the Sabres here plus 270. That is, to me, it's, look, we're all in the value business. And to me, plus 270 is a very, very big price. One of the more simpler handicapping angles I actually use in NHL is to fade teams coming off multiple wins by more than 1 goal. Mainly because this league, it's so difficult to keep that level of performance up. Across Boston's last 5 wins, they've won by 4-2, 3-3, 3. Their longest win streak prior to this by multiple goals was 2 against Philly and Washington at the start of the month. And, Boston ranked just 13th in the league on regulation time wins. So this is a team well used to being pushed into overtime, and not covering the puck line season long that away. So Sabres pretty much flat out embarrassing last night for the most part, just 7 shots in the first period. So I do expect a better showing from them tonight. And, at plus 270, we're getting well compensated for the risk. So I'll definitely take 1% play on Buffalo for me in this one.
We are in the value business. Kevin, I hope you win that dog spot, but I hope I catch the under as well. And it's funny, real quick, I always tell people in baseball, and this might be just my personal opinion, I know a lot of guys that think the exact same way, to not bet a plus 1.5, to just bet the money line. Because the amount of times you bet a plus 1.5, that team's probably going to just win the game. And same thing with the NHL, but I'm curious with a team like the Sabres, with the price you can get, would you ever go like half unit money line, half unit plus 1.5? Kind of like the plus 1 line?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And I usually wouldn't do 50-50. It'd be more like 66-33, on the puck line.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty cool bet. I think it's, it's interesting, and I think that you can definitely, you can look at it and think to yourself, maybe they'll keep it close. Maybe they'll keep it tight, and that way you can still recoup some of your money, even if they just lose by 1 goal. Carmine, what is this, a concert right now, the Super Bowl? What's going on here, man? You do a little wardrobe change on us?
Yeah, it's the halftime show. I figured I'd put on the Sabres song since we're keeping them as the barn burner game of the day. But with that said, these teams, these games are low-scoring games, but I'm not really sure what we're going to get tonight in this game. And one of the things you have to look at, the Sabres are actually starting one of their rookie goalies. This is a goalie of the future, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, and I got that name bang on, Andrew. As far as this goalie goes,
he's here.
Just
How
once.
many times you rehearsed
that? He's here for a reason, and the only reason is because Linus Ullmark and Carter Hutton are injured, and so they've brought him up. He's their goalie of the future. It's a Finnish goalie. He's going to be going against Rask, a guy that he probably absolutely loves and adores. He was a backup goalie in that game in Boston where they lost 2-0. He's heading right back down the minute those guys are off the injury list. He's only played 14 games, I think, this year before the shutdown, and these are in the minors, and his numbers were not good. His save percentage before the shutdown was .903, his save percentage, and then after the shutdown in 6 games, it was .863, and that's in the minors where you want to see a goalie have good numbers. Typically with a rookie goalie, teams, what they'll do is they'll have him in the minors for about 90 to 100 games, playing their trade down there before they bring him up. This guy's only had about 40, I think 50 or 60 games. So I hate to say it, man, he's fresh meat tonight for the Bruins. They're bringing him up. He's going right back down. The team will probably play a much more defensive game, and we don't get a lot of scoring from the Sabres anyways, but a much more defensive game trying to protect this goalie. But the Bruins have to be the play here. I've released, I think, the last couple of games that they've played against the Bruins have played the Sabres. I've just released the Bruins at -1.5. a very minimal juice. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Same thing here. Take the Bruins. As far as the total goes, it's all dependent on what the Sabres produce and how they play defensively. But while it's exciting times for the Sabres with this goalie, they brought him up way too early. They should have just put somebody else in net there. I don't have a good feeling for this guy in goal tonight. Give me the Bruins.
You're right. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't use that word ain't quite a bit, but in that expression, it does mean something. And the only thing is, though, Kevin makes a good point. We'll see if the Boston Bruins take their foot off the gas pedal and try and, they get a little too relaxed, and the Sabres might catch them, and it's some great plus money price there on the underdog. Kevin, happy to have you on the show despite some disagreements. Happy to have you here on this Friday. Let us know what you have up at WagerTalk, what your streaks are right now. I know it'll probably take us an hour to go through all the streaks that you're on. But let us know what you have and your best bet for today.
Yeah, we've definitely on a nice little winning streak, Andrew, now this last 6 weeks, 2 months. We have one NHL play up for tonight, 3% play, and we also have a 5% soccer play over in the EPL, first one of the month. So very excited about that, and 4-0 sweeps so far and 5% plays. So yeah, looking forward to tonight.
What was your best bet there, Kevin?
Oh, sorry. Best bet is Minnesota LA under 5.5. For the reasons I just said, two very good goalkeepers. Kings giving up fierce, converted, high danger chances. And, Minnesota 7 best expected goals against in the league. So, under 5.5, Wild Kings.
Kev, if you can, just before I get into mine, can you, you must have it right beside you there, because we had a couple of guys ask. You've written a book that I think is available on Amazon. Can you show us the book and just give a quick little plug to yourself?
Yeah, so basically I wrote this book just about the same time I started at WagerTalk, and it just basically contains all the kind of processes that I go through before analyzing different games. Because, I think Andrew said in this show, handicapping NBA, NHL, use the same underlying processes and then go through different stats in every sport, and that's pretty much what I put into this book.
All right, awesome. Head over to Amazon and pick that up, guys. Andrew, I'll go next.
I gotta say this. And first of all, right. I'll be checking out that book, Kevin. I have a list of books that I have to read probably before that one. So I'll probably get to that after I get some of these ones that I keep starting and not finishing. But Carm, I appreciate the kind words you gave me. But I don't feel like you boost yourself enough either. And I think it's our jobs as co-workers and co-hosts to boost each other, because nobody wants to come on here and bump their own tires. It's just not a fun thing to do. It feels weird doing it. I'm pretty sure we can all agree. But Carm, 5% play. You did mention it, but you have been bang on with those 5% plays. You have been kicking ass and taking names with those. And one thing that Carmine always says on these Friday shows is to grab a 3-day pass, guys, instead of buying 1-day pass or one pick, especially with the amount of plays these two guys put out in soccer on the weekend, NBA, NHL action, MLB. You're going to get so much for bang for your buck if you grab that 3-day pass versus just buying 1 or 2 plays. So I just wanted to shout that out, guys. And Carmine, you're up, man. Let us know what you have.
Yeah, and with that in mind, 2 different cards up today, 2-pack in soccer, 2-pack in NHL, and I already have a play up at WagerTalk for Saturday night in NHL. It's a 5% play. Let's hope it goes as well as the last one did, and let's get another winner in the books. So a 3-day pass is probably your best bet. Just get a ton of value and all plays through Sunday. Best bet on the show is going to be, I'm going to go right back to that rapid revenge spot with the Rangers here. There's still 150s out there. If you can grab the Rangers, I just think it's a good spot for them to bounce back. I think what happened in that third period sort of unnerved the team. It's really tough picking up these 4-minute penalties and trying to kill them. And now you get Lion, whatever you want to call him, in net tonight for the Flyers. Give me the Rangers to bounce back tonight and keep their slim playoff hopes alive, even though I don't think they have a chance with the Bruins playing just fantastic hockey right now.
Carmine going with the Rangers for his best bet here. And I think that price is reasonable in the rapid revenge spot. And guys, I'm going to go ahead here with the Wild in regulation. I got it at -110, -108, somewhere in that range. And look, I feel like everybody has been saying for their past several games, this is a bad spot for them. They're bound to drop one. Tonight's the night they get upset. Tonight's the night they take their feet off the gas pedal. And they haven't done that just yet at all. And I feel like in this matchup in particular, they have far too much speed. They have too much depth of scoring right now, and their top guys are certainly playing like top guys. I'll get that price down in regulation and take the Wild in 60 minutes, three-way line here. And yeah, I have a 5% play up, guys, in the MLB. I'm 2-0 so far on the season in the MLB with my 5% plays. Really like this one. It's a money line side, and first one ahead of the year was a 6-0 result. Second one was pretty much a lopsided game the entire way, and we'll try and do the exact same thing here tonight, guys. But you can use the coupon code AM39 to get a 3-day all-access pass for just $39, which is the price of a 1-day pass. So turn that 3-day pass, guys, into just $39 using that coupon code AM39. I'll have UFC up for tomorrow, NHL, of course, MLB. I'm looking forward to a great weekend, guys. Hop on board with me for my 5% MLB big ticket for tonight. I have the Wild in regulation. Carmine has the Rangers -150, and Kev with the Wild Kings under 5.5. On behalf of Kevin, Dolan, Carmine, Bianco, I am Andrew McInnis. Have a great weekend, guys, and we'll see you on Monday.
Are you tired of games of the year and 100-unit locks? If so, check out the professional handicappers at WagerTalk.com today. We leave all that nonsense for the other guys. And for a limited time, new users get their first daily picks purchase up to $40 for only $1. $1? Whose idea was that? Johnny Detroit? I guess so. To redeem this special, just go to WagerTalk.com, choose a handicapper and their picks package using coupon code TRYWagerTalk when checking out.